Sofia, and today I stand on the firmest affirmation side of the resolve we should ban single-use plastics. My asker is the U.S. My time frame is going to be in 1 year, and my funding is going to be the U.S. budget. We are going to give a year of time so the people that work in the plastic industry have plenty of time to find a new job. And we are funding for the U.S. budget because it costs like $1.3 billion to cancel out these single-use plastics. Excellent. Our first contention is about the environmental impact. Single-use plastics will pollute the environment severely, which we rely on for many reasons. According to the NRDC, the UECD found that a whopping 91% of all plastic isn't recycled at all. Instead, it ends up in landfills or the environment. This means that while we recycle a lot of the plastic, it isn't actually recycled. It's sent to landfills or in the environment. According to the U.S. University of Colorado Boulder, because single-use plastics are produced from fossil fuels, extracting and creating these plastics emits vast amounts of greenhouse gases. It is estimated that just the extraction of these fossil fuels and their transportation to plastic factories emits 1.5 to 12.5 million metric tons of greenhouse gases. These two pieces of evidence shows that plastic is very harmful to the environment in production and that a large percentage of plastic is not actually recycled. Also, plastic can really pollute our land, and we are creating a lot of it. The production of plastic and the part that we are supposedly recycling are both polluting our environment. And since we rely on our environment to live, we should ban single-use plastic so that we can have a better life and our lives on the earth can actually continue. My second contention is too costly. Single-use plastics cost way too much for the U.S. The U.S. already owes trillions of dollars. We should not be spending our money on these pointless single-use plastics. According to panda.org, the market cost of plastic produced in 2019 was, in U.S. dollars, $370 billion. The management of the plastic waste costs were more than U.S. $32 billion to collect, sort, dispose, and recycle the huge quantities of plastic waste generated each year. $420 billion have more use than to produce and dispose of plastic waste. So money for our funding will seem very small compared to how much we are wasting on these plastics just to dispose of these things, which is why we should certainly ban these single-use plastics. We will save a lot of money for the U.S. My last contention is on life endangerment. Many marine animals are affected by plastic, and not only them, humans are also affected by single-use plastics. Single-use plastics are the main source of pollution, and it severely endangers marine animals. Studies have shown that many marine animals are badly affected or even killed by these plastics in the ocean. NIH government states that as such, humans can be exposed to microplastics through direct indigestion, direct contact, and inhalation. A web named Earth Day states that studies have shown microplastics significantly damage cells in the human body, leading to serious health effects, including cancers, lung disease, and birth defects. This proves that microplastics from single-use plastics can easily come into our bodies. And this is not only promoting the health of animals, but the entire world. So, Judge, if you want a better world where there are more lives and better livings, then you should definitely vote for the affirmation. For these reasons, I still firmly stand on the affirmation side of the resolve. We should ban single-use plastics. Next, I'll be running my negation case. Today, I stand on the firmest negation side of the resolve. We should ban single-use plastics. Next, my first contention is about how right now a lot of people have jobs that depend on single-use plastics. So if we ban these, then a lot of people will lose their jobs. According to the House Committee of Energy and Commerce Government, banning single-use plastics will cost American jobs, worsen the supply chain crisis, and hurt economic development all across the country. And also, even if we do have time to find other jobs, finding a job takes a lot a lot of time, and if there are no job needs, then the people will not find any place to get jobs, and they will become a person without a job. And these plastics also can give us like life-saving technologies, syringes, vaccine protection equipment, medical gowns, and insulated packaging for transporting vaccines. And if we ban single-use plastics, then the whole economy will fall because we will not have the supplies to get all these important vaccines and life-saving technologies. So if single-use plastics are banned, then a lot of businesses will fall, along with a loss of jobs, supply, and economic development. This will lead to many people dying. We are suggesting a strong solution by keeping the world the way it is now. By not banning single-use plastics, more people will survive, as to the fact that our economy will continue to rise from these plastics. Our second contention is about how single-use plastics are more sanitary and safe. Single-use plastics have been enlisted in the fight against food waste, keeping food and water fresher for longer and reducing the potential for contamination. Because of its safety, flexibility, and cost-effectiveness, plastic is the material of choice for these types of products. This is important for keeping food fresh and sanitary. According to The Conversation, California banned single-use plastics in 2016, but state officials waived the ban during COVID-19 quarantines because single-use plastics were proved to be more sanitary. According to the mill, however, contrary to the idealism of campaigners, banning the federal government from using single-use plastic goods would not benefit the environment. In fact, life cycle assessments on items such as single-use plastic bags have shown that there is a discrepancy between actual reuse rates of alternative bags and the reuse rates of break even on environmental grounds. Paper bags need to be reused 4 times, LDPE bags 5 times, non-woven PP bags 14 times, and cotton bags 173 times. These same effect, there are actual reuse rates about half that, making them less sustainable than single-use plastic bags, which we also use as consumers as bin liners. The mill has also stated that the same effects appear when we compare glass bottles to plastic bottles. As glass bottles are much heavier, their carbon footprint for transport is also very much higher. However, substitute a plastic straw with a bamboo straw should also probably be aware of their significant carbon footprint. When food isn't fresh, it can cause food poisoning. People can die or get really, really sick. So when we ban single-use plastic, suppliers no longer have access to this important material. Current alternatives are not good enough to keep food fresh and sanitary at a low cost. My last contention is about how unnecessary it is. According to The Hill, in fact, the concept of single-use becomes redundant as we consider how far we've come with recycling. Over 90% of Americans live in cities with a population of over 125 people, and they already have access to recycling single-use plastic bags and other single-use plastics. Single-use plastics are being recycled, which cancels out the fact that single-use plastics can actually harm the environment. The fact that single-use plastics supposedly can only be used one time does not mean that they cannot be recycled, which is why banning single-use plastics is completely necessary. Also, banning single-use plastics would lead to even more pollution. According to the University of Oregon, with a ban on single-use plastics in grocery stores, shoppers are inherently inclined to increase their usage of paper bags. Paper production requires a huge amount of water and a shockingly varied list of toxic chemicals, and emits nearly 50% more greenhouse gases than plastic production. In addition, the act of producing paper obviously requires a lot of trees, and as deforestation becomes increasingly dire in an environmental issue, banning plastics may not do as much to counteract it. By not banning single-use plastics, we will be preventing the unnecessary change that could potentially harm our environment. So, Judge, we are actually protecting the environment by not banning single-use plastics. So this is why I still stand on the firmest negation side of the resolved we should ban single-use plastics. Thank you.